Hi guys! Today let's answer some questions related to your orthopedics nursing, specifically about bones and about your assistive devices. So this will be a two-part video guys. The first part is eto na nga, para sa bones and assistive devices, and the second part will be about your joints. So mostly about joint problems. So let's start. Number one, while conducting a health screening for osteoporosis in Mondstadt, Nurse Jean assesses client at risk. Which among the following is most likely to develop the condition, which is osteoporosis? A, is it a 25-year-old client who runs? Or B, is it a 36-year-old client who has asthma? Or C, is it a 70-year-old client who consumes excess alcohol? Or is it D, a sedentary 65-year-old client who smokes cigarettes? Oh, for this item, let's eliminate alpha. Okay? Why? 25-year-old, too young pa. Healthy pa ang bones as compared to older ages. When you talk about risk of osteoporosis and when the patient runs, that decreases the risk further of your osteoporosis. Kasi guys, this is what I want you to know. Osteoporosis, or from the word itself, pagka-porous ng bones, pagkawala ng strength ng bones, ng density ng bones, that happens when you do not put enough activity in your bone. So remember, every time there is physical activity, there is also bone activity. What do I mean by this? Bone activity is when your bones consistently builds itself through osteoblast activity. And that happens when you put enough pressure, put enough activity for your bones to build itself. Kasi kung wala namang damage na nangyayari sa bone mo, wala namang stress na nai-induce sa bone mo, your bones will not repair itself and therefore will not strengthen itself. So in the absence of activity, the opposite happens. There's no osteoblast or osteo-building activities. Now we are left with Bravo, Charlie, and Delta. When you are talking about risk factors, guys, Bravo, Charlie, and Delta looks like risk factors associated with osteoporosis. So what do you do to get the correct answer? You do your point system. You count per choice kung ilang points siya meron or ilang risk factor siya meron. So for Bravo, 36-year-old, is that a risk? No, still young, correct? Pero pag may asthma siya, is that a risk factor? Pwede. One. Why? In asthma, do you use steroids in order to reduce the inflammation of the airways? Yes, di ba? So, pwede bang 1 point ang asthma because of the steroid use? Yes, pwede. 70-year-old, is that also a point? Kasi the older the person gets, the less the osteoblast activity. The more they become prone to osteoporosis. And then, who consumes excess alcohol? Ayan, because alcohol can deplete the minerals of the body responsible for bone formation. Next, sedentary. Oh, sedentary guys, is that already a risk factor? What I said a while ago, when you don't put activity on your bones will not build itself. So sedentary ka lang, oh, no activity, no bone building. So that's 1 point. 65 years old, is that old na? May wear and tear na tayo sa bones sa mga older adults. Yes, that's another point. And then, smokes cigarettes. Another risk factor to make your bones less in density and less in strength. Smoking, okay? It will also deplete the minerals needed for bone formation. So that's another point. You get 3 points for Delta. That's why the best answer for number 1 is Delta. May 3 points siya for the risk factors based on the point system na ginawa natin. Okay? Next, number 2. After witnessing a vehicle accident near the chasm, Nurse Kiki sees a pedestrian who appears dazed and tries to get up with a visibly fractured leg. What should she do first? A. Try to reduce the fracture manually. B. Assist the victim to get up and walk to the sidewalk. C. Leave the victim for a few moments to call for an ambulance. Or D. Stay with the victim and encourage the victim to remain still. And the best and only answer for number 2, when you are asked what is the first thing you do, especially when the patient has a visibly fractured leg, you do Delta. You stay with the victim to make sure that the victim is safe. Kasi anong sabi dyan? The victim appears dazed. Ayan. Which makes it unsafe for the victim to be alone. So if you're there, stay with the victim and then encourage the victim to remain still. Why is that? When you have a visibly fractured leg or whatever part of the body, guys, ng pasyente mo appears visibly fractured, ang priority mo is to immobilize that fractured site. So, immobilize. Why do we want to immobilize the fractured area? Especially pag sinabi dyan, visibly fractured na, okay? So, klaro na talaga na yung alignment and continuity ng bone is no longer there to say that it's visibly fractured. O baka nakita niya nakalabas na talaga yung bone, open fracture, okay? Immobilize the area to further decrease the risk of injury associated with the fracture, okay? That's why when we immobilize, we make sure we apply splints as nurses, correct? That's another way of immobilizing the fractured site to reduce the risk of further injury. Kasi pwede bang mas maging complete pa ang fracture kapag ginalaw niya yan at hindi niya immobilize? Yes. You don't try to reduce the fracture manually because only a doctor can do that, no orthopedics doctor. Assist the victim to get up and walk on the sidewalk. That's contrary to what we want to do, which is to immobilize. Pag may fracture, anong priority? Guys, pag may fracture, ano ang priority? Immobilize the fractured site. And then you don't leave the victim alone kasi unsafe yan. Anong meron? Dazed ba ang patient? Yes. So stay with the patient? Yes. That's why Delta is the best answer. Number 3, Cookie Shinobu has just received a plaster cast on her right forearm. What instructions should Nurse Sayo give her? Sata, select all that apply. Should Nurse Sayo tell Shinobu to keep the cast clean and dry? Yes, that's correct. The cast should be dry para tumigas na siya at mag-take ng form and to immobilize the fractured site. Because what's the function of a cast? To align and to immobilize the fractured site. So keep it dry and clean. Do we allow the cast 24 to 72 hours to dry? Guys, yes. When you're talking about a plaster cast, also known as your plaster of Paris. And how long does it take to dry a plaster of Paris or a plaster cast? It would take 1 to 3 days before it totally dries. So, kailangan ba dry siya para matigas, mag-take ng form, and to immobilize and align the area of fracture? Yes. Okay. Kaya you allow the cast to dry 24 to 72 hours. Keep the cast and the extremity elevated. Is that correct? Yes. Where do you apply it? In the area of injury. In the area of fracture. So remember guys, ito lang ang utak natin pagdating sa injuries, like your fracture. Pag may injury sa katawan, may inflammatory response sa katawan. So bakit importante na we elevate the extremity involved? This is in order to reduce edema or the swelling of the area, especially so when you're going to apply plaster cast around it. Kasi ngayon, pag may plaster cast na, meron na bang restrictions on the area of the extremities? When it comes to the space, yes, lalo na pag tumigas ng cast na yan. So, kailangan mo ba talagang i-elevate ang affected leg in order to reduce the risk of edema because of inflammatory response, because of the presence of injury, because of the fracture? Yes, that's why tama yan. You keep the cast and the extremity elevated. For how long? You can keep it elevated for 24 hours from the onset of the injury. Expect tingling and numbness in the extremity? Wrong. That's a sign of compromised neurovascular status. Okay? That's the first sign of a compromised neurovascular status. Okay? So, that's not expected after a plaster cast. In fact, that's one of the things you have to watch out for in a patient na merong plaster cast. And you want the patient to be instructed to report any sensations of numbness and tingling sensation in the casted extremity. Echo, use hair dryer set to a warm to hot setting to dry the cast. Guys, question. Pwede bang gumamit ng hair dryer para mas mapabilis ang pag-dry ng cast in order to immobilize and align the fractured area? Yes. But the question is, should it be in a warm to hot setting? That makes it wrong. It should not be warm to hot setting, but rather in a cool setting. So, kung gusto mo gumamit ng hair dryer para mas mapabilis ang pag-dry ng plaster cast mo, make sure it's in a cool setting. Okay? So, pwedeng gamitin pag cool setting. Bakit ba walang warm to hot setting? Because it can cause thermal burns to the patient, especially when you're using the plaster cast. So, do not use hair dryer na nasa warm to hot setting, but rather use a hair dryer na nasa cool setting para mapabilis ang pag-dry ng plaster cast. So, mali yan. And Foxtrot used a soft, padded object that will fit under the cast to scratch the skin under the cast. That's wrong. You don't insert anything under the cast. Ano ang instruction sa patient? If the casted extremity appears to be itchy, advise the patient to scratch another part of the body, okay? To reduce the itchiness of the affected leg, okay? Kasi bawal magpasok ng mga objects dyan. In fact, that's one of the reasons why patients with plastered casts get infections in their affected leg kasi nag-i-insert ng lapis, ng ballpen, ng stick para abutin or kamutin yung makating part sa loob ng plaster cast, which is maling-mali. Kasi can that impair the skin integrity? Yes. And then pag may impaired skin integrity ka na, can that cause infection? Yes. Okay, so bawal talaga yan. Scratch another part of the body if makati ang loob ng plastered extremity. That's the instruction to the patient. So, anong tamang sagot for number 3? It's just Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie. Next, number 4. While evaluating the pin sites of Sino, who is in skeletal traction after an accident in Auru village, Nurse Tignari notices changes. Which observation would be most concerning? Alpha, redness around the pin sites. Bravo, pain and palpation at the pin sites. Charlie, thick yellow drainage from the pin sites. Or Delta, clear watery drainage from the pin sites. Ayan, alin dyan ang may sign of infection? No other than Charlie. Pag nakita mo yan, thick yellow drainage. Nana ba yan? Yes. And where does the pus comes from? Comes from bacteria. Okay? Yan yung byproduct ng bacteria metabolism. So, pag may pus, pag may nana, sign of infection yan. Redness around the pin site, can that be expected? Yes, kasi when you're using pin in a skeletal traction, an external pin is directly inserted inside the bone. So, will that really cause redness on the skin? Yes, kasi meron bang skin penetration and trauma? Yes, okay. And then, may pain on the palpation at the pin sites? Of course, masakit talaga yan, no? Pain is one of the concerns of the patient. That's why we have onboard pain medications for patients on skeletal traction. And then, clear watery discharge from the pin sites. Okay lang ba yan? Expected ba yan? Yes. No? Pero yung mga discharge na may yellow drainage, na may nana, na may pus, yan ang sign ng infection. That's why Charlie is the best answer. How do we prevent Charlie? If the patient has skeletal tractions with external pins inserted, we do your daily pin care. Okay? Kaya may daily pin care tayo to avoid Charlie. Number 5. Yoimiya, who has a casted arm, is being assessed by Nurse Shangling. Which finding could indicate the presence of an infection? Ayan, another one. A, is it a dependent edema? Or B, is it a diminished distal pulse? Or C, is it a presence of a hot spot on the cast? Or Delta, coolness and pallor of the extremity? Guys, the best answer for number 5, if you're talking about infection, it's Charlie. Presence of a hot spot on the cast. Remember, pag may infection tayo, viral man yan or bacterial, do you get fever? Yes, di ba? Pagtaas ng temperature, one of the signs na you have an ongoing infection. So, in the casted extremity, when you have hot spots, increased in temperature in areas specific in the cast, is that an indication of an ongoing infection? Yes, okay? Guys, pag sinabi mong dependent edema, edema. It's not an infection, no? Ang layo nun. And when you say diminished distal pulse, is that a circulatory problem rather than an infection problem? Yes, along with delta na may coolness and pallor of the extremity, still a circulatory problem rather than an infection problem. No? That's why Charlie's the best answer. Next, number 6. After sustaining a closed arm fracture, Coley has a cast applied. She complains of severe pain. Nurse Albedo elevates the limb, applies ice, and administers analgesic, but there's minimal relief. What might be the cause of the pain? Is it alpha, infection under the cast, or bravo, the anxiety of the client, or Charlie, impaired tissue perfusion, or delta, the recent occurrence of the fracture? Oh, the best answer for number 6 is no other than Charlie, impaired tissue perfusion. Kasi tingnan mo anong nangyari sa situation. Merong severe pain kasi may closed arm fracture. Nag-manage ba si nurse? Yes. Sabi, inelevate ang limb para mag-reduce ng inflammation, para mag-reduce ng swelling and ng edema formation. Naglagay ng ice to promote vasoconstriction to reduce the inflammatory response on the area to try and reduce the pain. Correct? And then, nagbigay ng analgesic as ordered. Is that to reduce pain? Yes. Pero ang sabi, there's minimal relief. What could have been causing this? Guys, could it be because of impaired tissue perfusion? Like your compartment syndrome. Yes. So, anong ibig sabihin nito, guys? Compartment syndrome is when compartments of the tissues of the muscle. Kasi nakabundle yan sila surrounded by a fascia like this one. Ayan. When these compartments increase in pressure because of the injury from the fracture, what happens? That yung mga proximal or yung mga malalapit na blood vessels sa area ng compartment syndrome mo ay ma-restrict ang blood flow, mako-compress because of the pressure. And because of that, there will be impaired tissue perfusion on the site of the injury kung nasaan ang fractured area. And what happens kapag may impaired tissue perfusion, guys, and there's absence of circulation, will the tissues trigger the anaerobic metabolism? Yes. And in the presence of your anaerobic metabolism, will that in turn cause a lot of accumulation of your lactic acid? Yes. And essentially, the presence of your lactic acid is what's causing the severe pain na hindi mawala-wala dahil sa absence ng circulation. So, when you address the circulatory problem, will the pain be relieved? Yes. Okay, that's the only time the pain will be relieved. And how do you do that? You deal with the compartment syndrome, you do your fasciotomy, wherein you open the fascia, yung membrane surrounding the compartment in order to relieve the pressure, in order to promote better circulation. Ayan. So now, when you fix the circulation, mawawala ba ang pain? Yes. Okay, so that's how you manage problem like this, number 6. It's not because of an infection. If it's an infection, meron tayong signs of infection like warmth, fever, pus discharge, no? And definitely not the anxiety of the patient and not the occurrence of the fracture. Kasi if it's just the fracture itself, the analgesic from the physician's order would have done the job to reduce the pain, no? Pero hindi nawala. So, we consider maybe it's because of impaired tissue perfusion like your compartment syndrome. Next, number 7. Lila has multiple injuries and a fractured leg, now in a plaster cast. As she arrives on the ward, how should Nurse Candice position her casted leg? A. Elevated for 3 hours, then flat for 1 hour. Or B. Flat for 3 hours, then elevated for 1 hour. Or Charlie, flat for 12 hours, then elevated for 12 hours. Or Delta, elevated on pillows continuously for 24 to 48 hours. Ayan na guys, the best answer is Delta, di ba? Did you cast the injured fractured leg of Laila? Yes. To immobilize and align the fracture site. Now, since may fracture, meaning may injury, will there be inflammatory response? Yes. So, since may inflammatory response, will that cause swelling after the injury? Yes. So, anong gagawin natin to prevent the swelling? Oh, you know it right. You elevate the affected extremity using your pillows. For how long? 24 to 48 hours after the injury. Okay? After the injury. Kasi dyan malakas ang swelling right after the injury. You don't elevate just for 3 hours then flat na for 1 hour. That's wrong. The same with Bravo. You don't do flat. Elevate. You don't do flat in Charlie. Elevate. That's why Delta is the best answer. Next, number 8. After being discharged from Sumeru Hospital, Faruzan receives a plaster leg cast, which of her statement tells Nurse Cave that she understands proper cast care. Alpha, I need to avoid getting the cast wet. Bravo, I need to cover the casted leg with warm blankets. Or Charlie, I need to use my fingertips to lift and move my leg. Or Delta, I need to use something like a padded coat hanger and to scratch under the cast if it itches. And guys, pag may plaster leg cast, are you using your plaster of Paris? Yes. It takes how long to dry the plaster? 24 to 72 hours or 1 to 3 days. So, ano ang tamang sagot? Alpha. You need to avoid getting the cast wet in order to promote the dryness of the cast. Kasi pag nag-dry ang cast, titigas na ba? Yes. Pag tumigas, pwede na bang mas ma-immobilize ng maayos yung area and to align the fracture site? Yes. Okay? So, Bravo is wrong. You don't cover the casted leg with warm blankets. Ayan. Kasi if you cover it with warm blankets, will that promote dryness of the cast or no longer? Hindi na. Okay? Dapat open in the air in order to dry it. No? And you don't use your fingertips when you want to lift or move your leg na nakast. What do you use? Your palms. And why is that? Your palms, straight kasi yan, no? But when you use your fingertips, imagine, a casted arm na hindi pa na-dry, and you use your fingertips, pwede bang mag-mark ang fingertips dun and can cause indentations on the cast? Yes, so ngayon yung cast mo hindi na siya flat and flawless. Meron na siyang indentation from the fingertips, no? Kaya never use your fingertips, you use your palms. When you want to move, when you want to handle your casted extremity, no? Use a flat surface like your palm para ma-avoid ang mga indentation. O, I need to use something like a padded coat hanger and kasi kakatihin ko yung loob ng cast ko na Makati. O, pwede ba yon? Pwede magpasok ng kahit ano? Bawal. Ang instruction pag may Makati sa loob ng cast, scratch another part of the body so as to reduce the itchiness, okay, of the plastered extremity. So, mali talaga ang Delta. Kasi it will increase the risk of impaired skin integrity, will increase the risk of infection inside the cast. Next, number 9. While measuring for crutches, Sarah asks Nurse Nilu why they can't rest under her arms for more support. What is the best response? A fall and further injury. B, injury to the brachial plexus nerves. Or C, skin breakdown in the area of the axilla. Or Delta, impaired range of motion while the client ambulates. O guys, when you're using crutches, bawal siya ilagay sa ilalim ng kilikili, under the arm, or under the axilla. Why is that? Kasi in the axilla, guys, there runs a long nerve, your brachial plexus nerve. So, pag lagi mo yung iniipit, kasi dyan mo nilalagay ang weight mo. Dyan ka nag-weight bearing kapag may crutches ka. It will impede circulation on the brachial plexus nerve. It will damage the brachial plexus nerve. It will cause your brachial plexus palsy, also known as your crutch palsy. Ayan, crutch palsy. So, pwede bang hindi mo na magalaw ngayon ng arms mo? Yes, kasi dahil sa brachial plexus nerve palsy or crutch palsy. Yes, so avoid that. That's why when you are fitting a crutch for your patient who needs assistive devices like crutch for walking, like this one, ano ang measurements? Dapat 2 to 3 finger widths above the axilla ang measurement ng crutch mo when in terms of the length. Tapos, dapat, when you're on the hand grip, when the hands are on the hand grip, dapat the hands are 20 to 30 degrees flex, no? Not less than that and not more than that. For proper fitting of the crutch, no? Bawal i-rest ang crutch sa kepet because that will promote brachial plexus palsy, also known as your crutch palsy. So definitely not a fall or further injury, and definitely not about the skin breakdown, but rather nerve problem and not impaired range of motion while the client ambulates. Next, number 10. After teaching Wanderer about crutch safety, Nurse Kokomi evaluates his understanding. Which of the following statements show proper understanding? Select all that apply. Sata, Alpha, I would not use someone else's crutches. Is that correct? Yes. Guys, crutches, are they tailor fit or personalized to your height? Yes. Okay? Sabi natin dapat 2 to 3 finger breadths away from the underarm or axilla dapat ang dulo ng crutch mo. So, kung hindi kayo same ng height, hindi mo pwedeng gamitin ang crutch niya. Bawal gamitin ang crutch ng ibang tao kaya hindi yan na-measure with your own measurements. Okay? Hindi mo yan measurements. Bawal. Oh, I need to remove any scatter rugs at home. Is that correct? Yes. Scatter rugs that can promote risk for injury. Pwede kang madulas dahil ikaw ay naka-crutch. Diba? So, bawal yan. I can use crutch tips even when they are wet. Ikaw nang mag-isip, pwede gamitin ang tip ng crutch mo pag basa? Bawal. Okay? Kasi will that promote injury? Pwede kang madulas? Yes. So, pag basa ang crutch tip mo, yung rubber tip niya, what do you do? Dry it using cloth or paper towel. Okay? Oh, I need to have spare crutches and tips available. Is that correct, guys? Dapat ba may available ka? Yes, kasi para mas makalakad ka ng maayos. When I'm using the crutches, my arms need to be completely straight. Anong sabi natin? Dapat the elbows should be 20 to 30 degrees flex. Ayan, yan ang proper measurement ng crutch mo. So, mali ang echo. You have Alpha, Bravo, and Delta as the correct answers for number 10. Next, number 11. Razor is being treated for fat embolism following multiple fractures. Which of the following findings would Nurse Barbara consider the most favorable indication that this condition is improving? Meaning we're looking for a good and correct indication. Guys, clear mentation, minimal dyspnea, oxygen saturation at 85%, or arterial oxygen level na 78 mmHg. Alin dyan ang normal? Guys, the only correct answer is A, clear mentation. Clear mentation, walang restlessness, walang loss of consciousness, walang decreasing level of consciousness. That indicates there's good perfusion and oxygenation on the brain. Pag sinabi mong fat embolism, guys, that's a fat from the bone. Kasi 'di ba ang bone mo may yellow marrow? Yes, pag na-fracture ang bone mo na bali, can the yellow marrow escape from the bone and then go in the circulation? Yes, and that's what you call your fat embolism. So, when the fat will travel going to the respiratory circulation sa lungs mo. So, will that cause restlessness, difficulty breathing, sudden onset of chest pain? Okay, so yan ang one of the most common complication of a fracture, no? Fat embolism, lalo na mga femoral fracture. Clear mentation kasi good circulation on the brain. Why minimal dyspnea is not the best answer? Dapat pag wala ka ng fat embolism, wala ka ng dyspnea kasi maayos ang circulation sa lungs. So pag may minimal dyspnea pa rin, is that an indication na nawawala ng fat embolism? Is that a favorable one? No, mas better ang clear mentation. O oxygen saturation of 85%. The normal is 95% and above. 85% is desaturated, no? So that's also wrong. Arterial oxygen level of 78 mmHg, what's the normal? It should be 80 to 100 mmHg. That's the normal arterial oxygen level. So making delta wrong. 78 is still desaturation. Alpha is the best answer. Number 12. After placing an arm cast on Noelle, Nurse Beidou educates her on signs of compartment syndrome. Which statement by Noelle indicates that she understands what to report as the earliest sign of compartment syndrome. Guys, anong earliest sign? Is it cold, bluish discoloration of the fingers? Or is it numbness and tingling in the fingers? Or is it the pain that increases when the arm is dependent? Or is it when the pain is out of proportion to the severity of the fracture? And the best answer for this one is no other than bravo. The earliest sign of compartment syndrome is paresthesia, and that's your numbness and tingling sensation on the distal end of the fracture. Most of the time experienced on the distal part of the extremity. So if it's an arm, the fingers. If it's a leg, the toes, no? Ang may paresthesia or tingling sensation. Pwede bang pins and needles? Yes, pwede din. So that's the earliest sign of your compartment syndrome. Okay? Ang changes in the color of the area concerned, like your cold bluish colored fingers, that's a late sign of your compartment syndrome. And then the pain that increases when the arm is being dependent, meaning binababa, okay, at hindi naka-elevate. Dependent meaning nasa baba. That's also a late sign of your compartment syndrome. And then out of proportion ang pain from the fracture, yes, no severe pain. That's the complaint of the patient with compartment syndrome, but that's not an early sign, but rather a late sign because of the too much accumulation of the lactic acid from the impaired circulation kasi na-compress na ang blood vessel because of the increase in the pressure inside the compartments. Correct? Kaya nga siya compartment syndrome tinawag. So the best answer is bravo. Next, number 13. Ketching, who has diabetes mellitus, just underwent a right below knee amputation. Based on her condition, Nurse Yao Yao anticipates that she is most at risk for which post-op complication? A. Hemorrhage. B. Edema of the residual limb. C. Slight redness of the incision. Or D. Separation of the wound edges. Ayan na. Tandaan mo, si Ketching merong diabetes mellitus. And pag may diabetes mellitus ka, you have delta, separation of the wound edges, also known as your dehiscence. And bakit yan nangyayari? Kasi kapag may diabetes mellitus ang tao, meron kang poor wound healing. Okay? So, kapag nagde-dehiscence, lagi lang natatanggal yung mga wound edges. Hindi sila nagdidikit. Hindi sila nag-heal ng maayos. That's poor wound healing, characteristic of your diabetes mellitus. All because of impaired circulation caused by your diabetes mellitus. Kapag sobrang daming sugar sa blood mo, makes your blood very viscous. And when you have a very viscous blood, it is very difficult for this blood to properly circulate in the body, especially on the periphery. So, pag meron kang amputated area, right below knee amputation, is that considered peripheral area? Yes. And peripheral areas in diabetes mellitus have poor circulation. So, because of this poor circulation, you get poor wound healing. Delta is the best answer, not hemorrhage, because hemorrhage is the general post-op complication for whatever kind of surgery. And anong sabi ng question? Specifically, a patient with diabetes mellitus. A specific question demands a specific answer, which is what Delta provides. And then, edema on the residual limb is expected after an amputation. That's why we have management for that, which is to elevate the leg. So, considered ba rin siya part of the expected complication of whatever kind of surgery? Yes, general pa rin. And then, slight redness on the incision. Is that also expected? Kasi nagkaroon tayo ng incision. Oh, yes. No? So, all of these, Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, they are expected outcomes of whatever kind of surgery and not specific to a patient with diabetes mellitus. That's why Delta is the best answer. Next, number 14. Toma had an above-knee amputation 2 days ago. His elastic compression bandage has come off. What should Nurse Guru do immediately? A. Apply ice to the site. B. Call the primary healthcare provider. Or C. Rewrap the residual limb with an elastic compression bandage. Or Delta. Apply a dry, sterile dressing and elevate the residual limb on one pillow. Oh guys, The amputation happened 2 days ago. And then the elastic compression bandage came off. What you do is to rewrap the residual limb with an elastic compression bandage. Kumbaga, pag natanggal, ibalik mo, i-wrap mo lang, okay? You don't need to call the primary healthcare provider kasi this can be managed by the nurse. You don't apply ice to the site kasi what it's asking for is the immediate action of the nurse. So to prevent it from swelling, yung extremity na na-amputate, to prevent it from swelling, ang gagawin mo is to rewrap it again, no? That's why you have to rewrap it again if it came off. You don't need to apply dry, sterile dressing. Ang immediate action mo ngayon is just to reapply kung ano yung natanggal. Simple lang ang hinihingi ng tanong na to. And that's Charlie. Number 15. After spinal fusion with hardware insertion, Tignari is being monitored by Nurse Dory. Which of the following assessment findings would cause the most concern? A. Temperature of 38.7 degrees Celsius or 101.6 Fahrenheit orally. Or B. Complaints of discomfort during repositioning. Or C. Old bloody drainage outlined on the surgical dressing. Or D. Discomfort during coughing and deep breathing exercise. Ayan na guys, saan dyan yung may problem talaga? Alpha. O, may ongoing fever ka ba sa 38.7 degrees? Yes. Pag may ongoing fever, will that indicate an ongoing infection? Yes. And anong meron? Spinal fusion and hardware insertion. So sa spine, you fused the spine and then you inserted a hardware. A hardware which is a foreign object. So can that introduce an infection in the spine? Yes. And are we afraid na magkaroon ng infection ang patient with regards to the spine? Kasi nandyan ba ang spinal cord and ang meninges? Yes, exactly so. That's why alpha is the best answer. Complaints of discomfort during repositioning is pain expected after surgery. Yes, kasi may surgical manipulation on the area concerned, especially your spine. No? Old bloody drainage is not of concern. If it says red, fresh blood, yun yung concern. Pero ang old blood, bleeding, also expected after whatever kind of surgery. Hindi siya alarming kasi old blood na yan. And then discomfort during coughing and deep breathing exercises. Yes, again, pain is one of the associated discomfort on whatever kind of surgery. The one that presents imminent danger is alpha, an ongoing infection with a febrile temperature. Next, number 16. Alhidam asks Nurse Cookie Shinobu to explain what box extension traction will do for his hip fracture before surgery. What explanation should she provide? A. Allows bony healing to begin before surgery and involves pins and screws. Or Bravo, provides rigid immobilization of the fracture site and involves pulleys and wheels. Or C, lengthens the fractured leg to prevent severing of the blood vessels and involves pins and screws. Or Delta, provides comfort by reducing muscle spasms, provides fracture immobilization, and involves pulleys and wheels. Guys, the best and only answer is no other than Delta. Provides comfort by reducing muscle spasms from the traction applied in your box traction. And it provides fracture immobilization kasi isa yan sa function ng mga tractions natin, especially your box extension traction. And it involves pulleys and wheels where you are able to create your traction by applying weights. Tama? So, what makes other choices wrong? Box extension traction looks like this. That's a skin traction. So it's either you're using plaster or a boot in order to apply skin traction. So pag skin traction, guys, it does not involve pins and screws. What involves pins and screws are your skeletal tractions, no? And then it does not provide rigid immobilization. Kasi pag ikaw ay naka-skin traction, are you still able to move? Yes. Pero can it provide reasonable immobilization on the extremity involved kung saan ang fracture? Yes, no? But not rigid immobilization. Ibig sabihin ng rigid immobilization, hindi mo na talaga magagalaw. Okay? Ganun. Yun ang meaning ng rigid. So, mali yan. Does it involve pulleys and wheels? Correct. Sana. Except for the rigid immobilization. Lengthens the fractured leg to prevent severing of blood vessels? Is it for lengthening? No. And then, does it involve pins and screws? No, because this is a skin traction. And what involves pins and screws? Your skeletal traction. Okay? So, delta is correct for muscle spasm relief from the traction, no? Or pull or hila na ina-apply natin sa extremity na affected kung nasaan yung fracture. And then immobilization of the fracture, and then involves pulleys and wheels. That's your skin traction, box traction. Next, number 17. Ningguang, a postmenopausal client, is scheduled for a bone density scan. What instruction should Nurse Mika provide before the test? A. Request that the client remove all metal objects on the day of the scan. Or B. Instruct the client to consume foods and beverages with a high content of calcium for 2 days before the test. Or D. Inform the client that she will need to ingest 600 milligrams of calcium gluconate by mouth for 2 weeks before the test. Or Delta, tell the client that she should report any significant pain to her physician at least 2 days before the test. O guys, ano ang gagawin ni Ningguang before the test? Walang special na dapat gawin kung gusto mo mag-bone density scan. Ang gagawin mo, remove all metal objects on the day of the scan. Kasi will the metal objects disrupt the visualization of the bone densities? Yes. If you do not remove the metal objects, they will impair the visualization. Tanggalin mo yan. There's no need to consume foods rich in calcium. There's no need to ingest calcium gluconate. And there's no need to report any significant pain at least 2 days before the test to the physician. Kasi anong gusto natin gawin kapag nag-bone density scan tayo kay Ningguang? Gusto natin tingnan kung okay ba ang density ng bone niya. Hence the term, bone density scan. Titingnan natin kung meron ba siyang risk for osteoporosis. No? Especially when Ningguang is already postmenopausal. Kapag postmenopausal ka, will that reduce the levels of estrogen in the body? Yes, and estrogen is important in terms of your osteoblast activity. When you say osteoblast, B for build. So, osteoblast, osteobuild. It builds the bone. So, if you no longer have estrogen, you no longer have osteoblast. You no longer have bone building activities. So, will that really increase your risk for osteoporosis? Yes. Kaya pag postmenopausal ang mga babae, sila ay nagiging high risk for osteoporosis. No? Yes, that's it. Number 18. Following a total hip replacement, how should Nurse Laila position Beidou to prevent complications? A. Place weights alongside of the affected extremity to keep the extremity from rotating. Or B. Elevate both feet on 2 pillows. Letter C. Keep the lower extremities adducted by use of an immobilization binder around both legs. Or D. Keep the extremity in slight abduction using an abduction splint or pillows placed between the thighs. Oh, and the best answer is no other than delta po. Delta. You keep the extremity in slight abduction, meaning the pointed towards outwards, no? Slightly pointed outwards. Abduction yan. Using your abduction splint or pwedeng pillows between the thighs, no? To prevent internal rotation. Ayan, internal rotation of the affected limb after your total hip replacement. And why is that? Guys, pagkatapos ng total hip o after your total hip replacement, THR, dapat you prevent extreme adduction pati abduction. Why? Kasi pag ginawa mo yan, will that cause the femoral head to be dislodged from the total hip replacement surgery na ginawa mo? Yes, no? Kaya dapat you have to maintain proper body alignment. You prevent extreme adduction or abduction. So, nung gagawin mo, dapat the toes pointing slightly outwards. Put a pillow in between the thighs to prevent adduction or yung pag, ganon, internally rotate ng mga toes ng patient. And then ano pa guys, you prevent hip flexion. Pag sinabi mong hip flexion, bawal siya mag 90 degrees na pag-upo. Okay? Bawal din siya sa mga low stools or low chairs. Bawal siya mag Indian seat. Okay? Kapag kakain ng pasyente, ang allowed lang. Ano ang allowed elevation of the upper extremity? 30 to 45 degrees. So, semi-fowlers lang. Ayan. Bawal ang hip flexion, especially 90 degrees and above. Bawal yan after total hip replacement. Or else that will damage the hip replacement surgery na kakagawa lang natin. Pwedeng ma-dislodge ang femoral head, pwedeng magkaroon ng problem dun sa surgical site. You don't need to place weights alongside on the affected extremity to keep it from rotating. Pwede mo yan lagyan ng pillows in order to prevent external rotation or internal rotation or yung extreme adduction or abduction mo. And then, you don't need to elevate both feet onto pillows kasi if i-elevate mo yan, will that promote hip flexion? Yes. No, pwedeng ma-dislodge yung femoral head from the site of the surgery. And you don't need to keep the lower extremities adducted. Bawal nga, di ba? Ang extreme adduction and abduction, kaya dapat slightly abducted lang. Normal body alignment lang. Okay? That's why we put pillows in between the thighs. Next, number 19. Navia, who is in a double hip spica cast, complains of constipation. The surgeon cuts a window into the cast. What should nurse Shangling anticipate as the intended results? A. The window will allow the nurse to palpate the superior mesenteric artery. Or B. The window will allow the surgeon to manipulate the fracture site. Or C. The window will allow the nurses to reposition the client. Or D. The window will provide some relief from the pressure due to abdominal distension as a result of constipation. Guys, the best answer is delta. Guys, pag may spica cast ka, especially a double hip spica cast, looks like this one. Because of immobility, hindi ka masyadong nagalaw kasi nga nakakast ka, nakaspike cast ka, di ba? Ganito yung itsura mo. Ang nangyayari is, walang maayos na mobility din sa colon mo. Kaya nagkakaroon ka talaga ng constipation. Okay? Constipation is one of the problem in spica cast because of immobility brought about by the cast itself. So, pag naglagay ng window ang surgeon sa may cast area, ang ginagawa niyan is to relieve the pressure from the abdominal distension because of constipation sa naipon na tae, na flatus. You want to relieve the pressure, you put a window. Mag-windowing ka. Windowing ang ginawa dito ng surgeon. So, pag nag-open ka, that's not to palpate the superior mesenteric artery kasi anong problem? Constipation, not about the mesenteric artery or the circulation. And definitely not to manipulate the fracture site. Windowing of the cast is to relieve pressure in the area. Like this one, abdominal pressure from the constipation. And this is not for repositioning the client. Okay? That's the best answer for number 19. Number 20. Alendronate is prescribed for Lisa who has osteoporosis. What instructions should Nurse Jean give regarding how to take this medication? A. Take the medication at bedtime. B. Take the medication in the morning with breakfast. Or C. Lie down for 30 minutes after taking the medication. Or delta. Take the medication with a full glass of water after rising in the morning. And the best answer is top notcher pag sinagot. Delta. Take the medication with a full glass of water after rising in the morning. Guys, your alendronate, that's your biphosphonate. And your biphosphonate, these are the drugs that help with osteoporosis. Kasi anong ginagawa nila? They will decrease your osteoclast activity. And when you say osteoclast activity, guys, this is the bone activity responsible for bone resorption or bone destruction. Diba? Meron kang osteoclast for bone destruction of mga damaged and old bones, and meron kang osteoblast, which is for bone building. So, it will decrease osteoclast activity. Thereby, it can increase your bone mass and your bone density, di ba? What's the problem in osteoporosis? Is it because your bone becomes porous from the name itself, osteoporosis? Yes, so your bone mass will decrease, increases your risk of fractures in and of itself. So yan guys, biphosphonate, the one that ends in dronates. Yan sila, dronates. So alendronate, risedronate, pamidronate, examples of your biphosphonates. So anong instruction pag uminom ng biphosphonate guys? Make sure that you drink this in an empty stomach. That's why delta is the best answer. Why? Kasi this one, it can cause esophagitis from the chemical reaction associated with drinking alendronate. Kaya yan siya, dapat after you take your alendronate, you take it on an empty stomach. So, tama bang after rising in the morning as opposed to morning with breakfast? Kasi pag puno ang stomach mo, will that increase the risk of regurgitation? And kapag nag-regurgitate ang alendronate, will that cause esophagitis? Yes, kaya dapat empty stomach, which is what Delta suggests. After rising in the morning, meaning wala pang laman ng tiyan, kakagising lang, just woke up. Okay? Bawal at bedtime kasi pag nag-bedtime, hihiga ka ba? Yes, kapag humiga, pwedeng mag-regurgitate? Yes, can that further increase the risk of esophagitis? Yes, kaya bawal yan. And then, 30 minutes lie down daw right after taking the medication. Mas lalo, you will increase the risk of esophagitis. That's why, empty stomach, and then 30 minutes, you should maintain the head of the bed elevated. Ayan, elevate head of bed for 30 minutes after to prevent the risk of esophagitis. In your biphosphonates like your alendronate, one of the drug of choices in patients with osteoporosis. So don't forget kasi importante yan, madalas lumalabas yan sa board exam. Okay? Next, number 21. While preparing discharge instructions for Kaya, who sustained a skeletal muscle injury and is prescribed baclofen, which teaching should Barbara include? A. Restrict fluid intake. B. Avoid the use of alcohol. C. Stop the medication if diarrhea occurs. Or D. Notify the healthcare provider if fatigue occurs. Oh, the best answer is no other than avoid the use of alcohol. Baclofen. What's that? That's your skeletal muscle relaxant. So if it's a skeletal muscle relaxant, bawal ba siyang isabay sa mga CNS depressant like your alcohol? Yes. So increases the risk of possible injury. Kaya bawal siyang isabay sa alcohol. You don't need to restrict fluid intake. In fact, you have to increase the fluid intake. Kasi it has a side effect of what? Constipation. Ano ginagawa niya guys? Muscle relaxant. So, part of the abdomen that will allow you to bear down and to evacuate fecal matter, muscles ba sila? Yes. So, if it will relax your muscle, will it really cause constipation as a side effect? Yes. So, increase your oral fluid intake rather than restrict. Oh, do you stop the medication if diarrhea occurs? Oh, you don't stop the medication if diarrhea occurs. Anong side effect niya guys? Again, constipation. Opposite of diarrhea. Okay? Notify the healthcare provider if fatigue occurs. Ano ba ang effect niya? Muscle relaxant. Skeletal muscle relaxant. So, will it really normally relax the muscles? Yes. So, there's no need to report fatigue in your healthcare provider. Next, number 22. Goro has his leg immobilized on in traction, which activity demonstrated by him would let Nurse Kokomi know he understands how to prevent muscle atrophy. Ayan na. A. The client adducts the affected leg every 2 hours. Or B. The client rolls the affected leg away from the body's midline twice per day. Or C. The client performs isometric exercises to the affected extremity 3 times per day. Or D. The client asks the nurse to add 5 pounds weight to the traction for 30 minutes every day. And the best answer is no other than Charlie. Perform isometric exercises on the affected extremity 3 times per day. Guys, the affected extremity is the one that is immobilized with a traction. So whatever kind of traction yan, skin man or skeletal traction, importante that the extremity is immobilized. So that what makes Alpha and Bravo wrong. Sabi ng Alpha, adduct the affected leg every 2 hours. Do you move the leg na nakatraction? No, immobilize nga, di ba? To prevent further injury on the fractured site. That's why adduction and rolling the legs away from the body's midline is wrong. The legs must stay in an immobilized position. That's why the best exercise to prevent muscle atrophy or yung pagbaba ng muscle mass. Atrophy, di ba? Pagliit ng muscle, pagbaba ng muscle mass or muscle size because of inactivity, because of immobility, you can prevent that by doing your isometric exercises. Ibig sabihin, even when immobilized, you can do contraction and relaxation of that specific muscle. Ayan. So, anong gagawin dyan? O, you do that on the affected extremity, contraction and relaxation in isometric manner. Meaning, nandyan lang siya, immobilized pa rin. Okay? But you try and contract and relax the muscle concerned 3 times per day, no? To promote muscle activity to reduce the risk of your muscle atrophy or the loss of your muscle mass and muscle size, which is really one of the problems in your traction use, no? Because of immobility. And guys, never add additional weight on the traction of the patient. Why? Sino lang ang pwede magdagdag at magbawas ng weight? Ang doktor lang. As ordered yan by the physician. No? And that's not part of our job as a nurse. Our job as a nurse, when it comes to the weights, it must hang freely. Dapat hindi siya nakalagay sa floor or nakapatong saan-saan. Why? The weights, they provide the pull or the traction on the area concerned to prevent muscle spasms, to promote immobility, and to promote realignment of the bones, no? Kaya nga natin siya nilagay sa traction. Ayan. Next, number 24. When admitting Dea with a fractured extremity, which area should Nurse Tignari focus the initial assessment on? A, the area proximal to the fracture, or B, the actual fracture site, or C, the area distal to the fracture, or D, the opposite extremity for baseline comparison. Guys, kapag may fractured extremity, ang initial assessment nakafocus sa area distal to the fracture. Kasi, what's the area of the fracture na may pinaka-increased risk for impaired neurovascular status? Meaning, pwedeng mawalan ng function, pwedeng mawalan ng circulation, the area distal to the fracture site. Kasi kung nasaan ang fracture, pwedeng magkaroon ng severe swelling, inflammation, pwedeng magkaroon ng severing of the blood vessel that will impede circulation on the distal areas. Okay? Kaya ang priority checking mo nasaan? In your initial assessment, the area distal to the fracture site, the periphery distal to the fracture site. So for example, if it's my right forearm, what do I check first? My hands on the right. Okay? My hands, my fingers. Yan, the distal area. Kasi yan ang may pinaka-increased risk for neurovascular compromise. Yang area na yan. Not the actual fracture site. Kasi anong priority sa nursing? Airway, breathing, circulation. Circulation, neurovascular compromise, saan? Distal to the fracture. And definitely not the proximal part of the fracture. Walang risk na mawalan niya ng circulation kasi wala naman dyan ang area of injury. And definitely not the opposite extremity for baseline comparison. You can do that later pag wala ng ibang kailangang tingnan initially sa patient. Next, number 24. During a crutch walking session, Lini is learning the 2-point gait. What should Nurse Yaoyao include in the instructions? A. Advance a crutch on one side and then advance the opposite foot. Repeat on the opposite side. Or B. Advance a crutch on one side and simultaneously advance and bear weight on the opposite foot. Repeat on the opposite side. Or C, advance both crutches together and then followed by lifting both lower extremities to the level of the crutches. Or D, advance both crutches together and then follow by lifting both lower extremities past the level of the crutches. Guys, if you're looking for the 2-point gait, hanapin mo dyan sa choices kung nasaan may 2 point of contact on the floor. Yun yung ibig sabihin nun. 2-point contact on the floor, merong 2-point na lagi nakakontact sa floor. 3-point gate, may 3 points na nakakontact sa floor. 4-point gate, merong 4 na nagko-contact sa floor. Guys, the best answer is no other than bravo. Advance a crutch on one side and simultaneously advance and bear weight on the opposite foot. Repeat on the opposite side. Looks like this one. That's your 2-point gate. 2-point contact with the floor. Advancing the crutch and the opposite leg together. So that's 2-point contact with the floor, correct? And then you advance the opposite side na naman, which is the left crutch and the right foot together. 2-point contact with the floor. That's your 2-point gate. Bravo. Look at Alpha. Advance the crutch on one side and then the opposite foot and then repeat on the other side. So meaning, advance the right crutch and the left leg. And then the left crutch and then the right leg. Opposite man dapat ang pag-advance ng crutch and the legs, di ba? Now, ilang points yun? Guys, that's your 4-point gate. Bilangin mo. Una, advance the crutch on one side, then the opposite foot. So, 1, 2, and then the crutch on the other side. 3, and then the opposite leg. 4, edi 4-point gate. Ano naman ang Charlie? Advance both crutches together. And then followed by lifting both lower extremities to the level of the crutch. What do you call that? Your swing to gate. Okay? Swing to gate. So parang 2 crutches together, then swing your foot to the level of the crutch. Pero, pag you advance both crutches together, then followed by lifting both extremities past the level of the crutches, you call that your swing through gate. Di ba? Advance both crutches, then swing beyond the crutches, swing through the crutches, swing through gate. Okay? Yun. Paano naman ang 3-point gate, guys? Meron kang 3-point contact on the floor. How do you do that? Both crutches advance together along with the affected leg. And then the unaffected leg will move after the crutches. So may 3-point ka dyan na may contact sa floor. That's your 3-point gate. And ginagamit yan kapag bawal ang weight-bearing activity sa affected leg. Okay? Pag walang weight-bearing activity sa affected leg. Pag tinanong ka sa board exam, what is the most stable gate? The answer is your 4-point gate. That's the most stable gate. It's the most stable, pero siya din ang pinaka-mabagal sa lahat. Okay? Pag tinanong ka, what gate is used when no weight bearing is allowed on the affected leg? 3-point gate. This one, 3-point gate. And then, pag tinanong ka, ano ang mga advanced na gates in your crutches? That's your swing to and swing through gate. Yan yung fastest na gate, no? But it needs balance and proper coordination of the muscles. Kaya siya advanced kind of gate. Next, number 25. After developing compartment syndrome from a fracture, Xiao presents with additional symptoms. Which signs should alert Nurse Sucrose to possible impending organ failure? A. Crackles. B. Jaundice. C. Generalized edema. Or D. Dark scant urine. Top notcher pag sinagot. Dark scant urine. Guys, compartment syndrome, and you're looking for additional symptoms of what? Impending organ failure. What would have caused the impending organ failure? Because of poor circulation to the concerned organ. Because of compartment syndrome na naging severe na. Okay? Delta, dark scanty urine. Ibig sabihin, the kidneys are no longer functioning properly. Kasi ano ba talaga ang function ng kidneys, guys? Basic mindset lang sa kidneys, guys. Your kidneys should produce proper urine output. If the kidneys can no longer produce proper urine output, that means the kidneys have failed. That's an impending organ damage sign. So, dark scanty urine, meaning ng dark, sobrang concentrated. Scanty, pa konti-konti lang, oliguria. So that means the kidneys no longer receive proper circulation. That's why the kidneys can no longer function properly. And ano ang function ng kidneys? Gumawa ng ihi in the most basic of senses. Tama? Yes. So pag hindi na siya makagawa ng ihi, that means there is an impending organ failure. Your kidney failure. Kaya 'di ba ang characterization ng ating acute kidney injury, pati chronic kidney disease, isn't it? The urine output will go down. oliguria, less than 500 ml in 24 hours, di ba? Until such time it reaches anuria, less than 50 ml in 24 hours, no? The lesser the kidneys are able to produce urine, the more damaged your kidneys, no? That's why delta is the best answer. Generalized edema, maraming pwedeng cause ang edema. Pwedeng because of swelling, pwedeng because of inflammation, pwedeng because of problems in your oncotic pressure, marami. But that's not an impending organ failure direct cause or direct symptom. And jaundice, pwedeng because of problems in the liver, di ba? Marami. Pwede din because of blood problems. So, hindi directly because of an impending organ failure. And crackles can indicate there is accumulation of fluid in the lungs but not necessarily impending organ damage. So, the best answer is what? Delta. Next, number 26. After an elective below-the-knee amputation, knee reports pain in the foot that was amputated last week. What is Nurse Jean's most appropriate response? A. The pain will go away after the swelling decreases. Or B. That's phantom limb pain and every amputee has that. And C. Your foot has been amputated, so it's in your head. Or Delta, on a scale of 0 to 10, how would you rate your pain? Top notcher. Pag sinagot, no other than Delta. On a scale of 0 to 10, how would you rate your pain? Guys, what's this? This is your PLP, also known as your phantom limb pain. It's the pain that amputees feel on the legs that is already amputated or the extremity amputated. They still feel pain on the leg that is no longer there or the extremity that is no longer there. And why is delta the best answer? You have to assess the level of pain. Why? Because the pain is real. Masakit yan. Totoo yan. And it's happening to your patient. So as a nurse, anong gagawin mo? Should you negate the patient and tell the patient that it's just in your head? No, because the pain is real. And in fact, we do management to address the pain or to prevent the phantom limb pain from happening in the first place. So can you give analgesics? Yes. Can you do your management to reduce the pain even if it's phantom limb pain? Yes, because the pain in PLP or phantom limb pain is real. The patient feels it. And as a nurse, you have to address that. You don't let the patient suffer from the pain of your PLP. So you don't tell the patient that it's just in their head. That's phantom limb pain and every amputee has that. Address the pain because that's a concern, physiologic concern of the patient. Correct? And physiologic concern, one of the priorities in nursing ba? Yes, tama. The pain will go away after the swelling decreases. That's wrong. Kasi what you do, you manage the pain. How do you manage the pain? Assess first. Do your assessment on a scale of 0 to 10, gaano ba kasakit? So that you can do proper management to respond to the level of the pain your patient feels. That's why delta is the best answer. Next, number 27. After teaching Chong Yun, who has a femoral fracture, about the purpose of skeletal traction, which statement would show Nurse Kiki that additional education is needed? So, ibig sabihin, additional education is needed. We're looking for the wrong answer. A, to align injured bones. B, to provide long-term pull. Or C, to apply 25 pounds of traction. Or D, to pull weight in with a boot. And the best wrong answer is no other than delta. To pull weight with a boot. Anong gamit sa kanya, guys? Skeletal traction. In skeletal traction, you don't use boots, you use pins and screws attached directly to the bones to align the bones. So, tama ba ang to align the injured bones? Yes. Is it going to provide long-term pull? Because the word traction in and of itself means to pull the area concerned in order to realign the bones and in order to reduce the muscle spasm of the extremity involved. And then to apply 25 pounds of traction, yes. And then it can go higher or lower depending on the patient case. So ano ang purpose ng 25 pounds? No, wait. That's for the traction. That's for the pulling force against the concerned limb or the limb that is fractured, like your femoral fracture here for patient Chong Yun. Yan. So delta is the best wrong answer. Next, number 28. Sino is in balanced suspension traction using a half-ring Thomas splint with a Pearson attachment for a hip fracture, which nursing assessment would not be appropriate for Nurse Collet to perform. So you're looking for the wrong answer. A. Greater trochanter skin checks, or B. Pin site inspection, or C. Neurovascular checks proximal to the splint, or D. Foot movement evaluation. The best answer is no other than, ayun o, Charlie. Bakit? Guys, it's wrong. If you want to check the neurovascular status, proximal to the splint. Saan dapat? It's not proximal, but rather distal to the splint. The one away from the extremity. So for example, if the splint is on my leg, yung distal part that I have to check for circulatory compromise and circulatory status are my toes. Yun yung distal part. Yun yung chine-check ko, di ba? Pero you don't check the proximal area of the splint kasi most probably wala yung problem sa circulation kasi that's not the extremity concerned after the injury. Should you check the greater trochanter skin for any impaired skin integrity? Yes, no, skin care is one of the important things you have to look at when the patient is in traction, especially with immobility. No, one of the concerns of immobility, remember, skin integrity. That's why we have to reposition the patient from time to time. Correct? Yes. Pin site inspection, yes, in order to prevent infection. Foot movement evaluation, part of your neurovascular assessment. When the foot can still move, that means there's good circulation, there's good nerve function. So Charlie is the best answer. It should not be proximal, but rather distal part of the injured site. Number 29, a Pearson attachment is included in Nilu's traction setup. What is its purpose? As Mika explains. A. To support the lower portion of the leg. B. To support the thigh and upper leg. Or C. To allow attachment of the skeletal pin. Or D. To prevent flexion deformities in the ankle and foot. Guys, the best answer. Your Pearson attachment, madalas sinasabay sa Thomas splint mo because of its functionality. Your Thomas splint is the one that applies the traction and immobilizes the area, while the Pearson attachment will support the lower portion of the leg. Ayan. So this is an example of your Pearson attachment with your Thomas splint. Remember this answer, guys. Please remember. It's not gonna support the upper thigh, but rather the lower leg. And it's not for the attachment of the skeletal pins. The best answer is alpha. Next, number 30, last item. Ayato recently had a right femur fracture. Nurse Keking suspects he may be developing a fat embolus. Which of the following findings support this? A. Acute respiratory distress syndrome. B. Migraine-like headaches. C. Numbness of the right leg. Or D. Muscle spasms in the right thigh. Guys, if it's fat embolism, you have to look for respiratory signs and symptoms, and the best answer is alpha. Why? Fat embolus. That's one of the most common complication after a femur fracture. Why? In your long bones, like your femur, do you have your yellow marrow there? Yes. And your yellow marrow, is it composed of a lot of fatty substance? Yes. So, pag nag-break ang bone, will the bone marrow also escape and then go in the circulation? Yes. Now you have a fat embolus, a moving fat in the blood vessel. Now, when this fat embolus hits a vital organ like your lungs, most of the time, it hits the lung circulation. So, anong may experience ng tao, guys? Acute respiratory distress syndrome. The first and earliest sign is sudden shortness of breath or difficulty of breathing. Sudden difficulty of breathing or shortness of breath accompanied by your chest pain na sudden din, accompanied by your desaturations. Ayan. And then, accompanied by a petechial rash on the chest area. So, yan ang mga signs and symptoms ng yung fat embolism that has already reached the circulation of the lungs. So, is that a medical emergency? Yes. Kasi airway na ba ang concern? Nasa lungs ang embolus mo ngayon, ang fat embolus. Yes. So, ano yan? The first finding that you will see is the acute respiratory distress syndrome. It's not gonna be a migraine-like headache, and it's not gonna be a numbness in the right leg or the muscle spasm on the right leg. Alpha is the best answer. That's it for the questions relating to your bones. We have part 2, guys, for joints. So, abang-abang lang. Thank you. Bye. Hope you learned.